Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another video, and it's the international break, so I thought I'd get another guest on, another great guest to talk about Chelsea, the current topics. And I have to say, this guest today, if you're an OG, if you're someone who's been watching Chelsea YouTube for a long time, this guy, I think, inspired a lot of people to come on YouTube and was definitely very beneficial when I started my YouTube channel. He's back now, which is great for the Chelsea community online. Joe Neal Zecca, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's great to be back. Yeah, it's been a while. It's great to see how you've progressed as a YouTuber. Your channel, your production value is top notch, and I'm happy to be a guest, and I'm also happy to play a little bit of a part in your success. So yeah, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. And what sort of inspired you to come back to YouTube? Because you've been away now for, I think, what was it, a couple of years. I know you've sporadically every now and then put videos up about Chelsea, but what has sort of been the thing that's got you back into making videos recently?
Well, in those 4 years that I had been away, some may know, some may not know, is that I've got married, so I have a wife, and one of the big reasons is that when it comes to football, she does try to pay a bit of attention, but she's not really into it. So when I'm going on my rants about Chelsea or talk about Chelsea, I don't get the response that I want. And I thought, you know what, go onto YouTube, just share my thoughts. People on YouTube seem to like my opinion on the game and want to hear my opinion on the game. So instead of boring my wife to death with it, I thought, get back on front of the camera and bring it back. And I have missed it. It's the one thing that I really used to enjoy doing, watching a game, win, lose or draw, get in front of the camera and just talk for 5 to 10 minutes and just give my thoughts in and getting the fans' reactions or the people who watch my videos reactions. It is definitely something that I've missed, and I'm really happy to be back. And I'm going to be doing this a lot more, thinking of other bits of content to upload. Like I've just done the Premier League roundup, which is that's about a 17-minute video, and that's on every team. Remember last time I was around, people said you talk about the top six, you don't really talk about the lower teams. But in this roundup, I'll be talking about the whole league, the winners of the weekend, the losers of the weekend, and more stuff to come, even with the international break. So it was mainly just to be able to give my opinion on football.
Yeah, definitely. And I do agree with you. It is a bit of therapy from not annoying people who aren't as interested in football. And that's something that I think is really interesting, and it'd be interesting to see how your channel grows and how your content evolves since you've come back. But of course, we have to talk about Southampton on Sunday, another brilliant win. You posted your review about it, and I guess rather than just we'll go in intricacies and about Willian and the game itself and Lampard. But is this Chelsea side under Lampard exceeding your expectations at the moment?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I don't think many Chelsea fans would have thought that they would have took to the Premier League these young players as well as they did. Some did know they had potential. I think a lot of us thought, like Tammy Abraham, he's done it in the Championship and this sort of stuff. But it's a big step up going into the Premier League. And another thing as well, it's not just going into the Premier League. You're playing for Chelsea Football Club, easily top four mostly every season. Big expectations. So there's an added pressure onto that, especially when you look in the past how much money we spent on strikers, for Tammy especially. And he's come in and he's just been sensational. And Mason Mount, all these players, they are just taken to like duck to water. And Frank's at the helm. He's obviously got a great mentality. The fans love him. The players obviously love him. And it's I think that it's such an exciting time. And yeah, to answer your question, yeah, massively exceeded my expectations. I thought they were going to be good, and I thought they had the potential of being great, but they are just being, I said they're doing really, really well.
And I think there is that sort of side of the game in defence that is sort of holding us back a bit. And I think for fans, it's that part where you don't want to go too far overboard with praise, because there is that part of the game. And I think that's actually, on the flip side, is the exciting part of under Lampard, is that we are only at the start, and there are already so many positive signs within the style of football, within the form of players. The form of one player I really want to talk about is a player that I don't think many of us would have expected to be such a key figure this season, At least I didn't, and that's Willian. His resurgence recently: 2 goals, 1 assist. Brilliant all-round performance against Southampton. Frank Lampard referred to him post-match as one of the best players, or the best player in the last 5 games of Chelsea. Do you agree with Lampard's thoughts on that, and also just generally about Willian's form recently?
Yeah, I've been up in date with Willie, and I remember when we first got him, and obviously with people were saying about because obviously Matt, I can't remember if he was just leaving or he was around that time, and I used to get a lot of stick because I'd be like, I like Willian, he does stuff, and I used to be a bit of a Willian fanboy, and then obviously as the seasons went on, sometimes he looks disinterested, and sometimes it don't, he just don't seem to have that zip about him. But going into this season, I think he's been top notch. The work rate, he's definitely fighting more for the club, and the past few games he's been at times unplayable. Some of the runs he's done, they haven't been able to touch him, and I think under Lampard, obviously he's played with Frank, so maybe there's like a bit of a connection there, and maybe they're obviously friends, and he is doing really, really well. But the one thing I have noticed, I don't want to be a lot of Chelsea fans, he is running out of contract, if I'm correct. So I also hope he isn't, putting on doing amazing to get this big contract and then it all disappears, because this season I would give him a contract. I'd give him if he could play like this for another season or two, I'd give him what he wants. But is he just doing it for the contract and then he just, goes back to the Willian that does the step over and gets tackled? I don't know. But he has been great the past few games.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a bit like the team exceeding our expectations. And the reason I wanted to talk about this was because my article for the Chelsea Echo this week is about Willian's form and how he looks refreshed, and also how I think Lampard's meritocracy is helping players like Willian. Like Alonso, I think Azpilicueta has stepped up performances. Do you think that the pressure and also just the form of the younger players who have come into this side, do you think they are pushing the older players to perform better?
Yeah, I think it works both ways, really. I think for the young players, having players like Cesar Azpilicueta, Willian, these players with experience, it helps them that they, when things maybe don't go to plan, they can look back on these players and they know that the players that they're playing with are experienced, good players. And I think on the flip side, for the older players, they got these young kids that's fighting for their spots or taking the headlines, and it raises their games as well. I think Cesar Azpilicueta, for example, I think he's been slightly better recently as well, because maybe he knows he got the pressure of a Reece James behind him, and I think it's just a real good mix at the moment. As I said, the older players are pushing and helping the younger players, and vice versa with the young to the old. And I said it's definitely looking promising. As you did say, that I did mention in my opening about it, is that the defense needs work, but Rome weren't built in a day. Sorry for the cliche, but it's going to be an interesting team, I think, after this season, especially when Frank gets a window as well. It's exciting times, man. It's exciting times.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And I think what's interesting about, because of course so much of the focus, and rightly so, is about Hudson-ODOI, about Tammy Abraham, about Mason Mount, and other young players. Well, of course, all those things are important and are things that make Chelsea fans so excited. But I think that we forgot that there's a lot of experience within this side and this squad that's won a lot of big trophies. Willian has won Premier Leagues, he's won FA Cups, he's won a League Cup, he's won Europa League. So he has been there, seen it, done it. And I think Lampard, and I think rightly so, has leaned on some of that experience and has clearly seen that as a benefit to him, rather than a crutch that I think some people thought in the summer that these players would maybe hurt and maybe hamper the development of some of the younger players. But I actually think they're benefiting off of it. How vital do you think that leadership and that experience from important players is for this specific Chelsea side?
It's massive. It's massive. I think it's probably one of the main keys, and I think that's why us as fans, sometimes we get on the back of the Marcos Alonsos, the Willians, the Cesar Azpilicuetas. we get on them a lot, but I think this season is where they're needed the most. And I think that we need to have a little bit of a leeway. And to be fair, I don't know many Chelsea fans have said it, but I think Marcus Alonso's been very solid since Emerson's been out. I think he's been really good. I think defensively he's been sound, and I think going forward as well, I think he's been sound. So I think those players are the ones that might not be getting the plaudits and the headlines, but they're the ones that are doing, they're leaning on like putting the hands around the shoulders of the players, the younger players, and saying, this is where you need to do this, this, and this. And, we need that experience. You can't just go into a new season with 11 youngsters and expect them to work. You're going to need that experience sprinkled in here or there. And it's definitely paying off, I think. And they are a massive part of this team as well. Even players like Jorginho, he's been there at Chelsea 2 seasons. But, there's a reason why Frank's made him vice captain. And that's because he is a leader in this team. And quickly, a little thing about Frank as well I want to say is that the one difference between him and, say, a Sarri is that he only seems to put praise upon players. Like Sarri came out and was like, remember Eden Hazard? It stuck with me as well when he said that Eden Hazard wasn't a leader last season, but yet Hazard scored 50% of our goals or assisted. And you know what I mean? And it's just like, I think no matter what you're trying to do, that still has a negative effect. And Frank does the opposite. He picks a player, say like Jorginho, and he praises him to the moon. And I think that's why, that's why you're getting so much out of Jorginho, because he wants to fight for Frank, I think.
Yeah, I think Frank's sort of whole, and the club, I think PR stance wise, and just Frank's comments all of the time, I think are just so positive for the club. Like, just on a side note, because I think it sort of relates to Willian because of the position he plays in, but of course Pulisic at the moment, people's frustration over his lack of playtime. And I thought before the Southampton game and after the Southampton game, I think both of them, Pulisic handled it well in some of the comments he made after, and also Frank, some of the comments that were posted by the club before the game. And I just think all round the club are dealing with situations like this, and I think it was similar with Luiz earlier in the season. I thought Frank dealt with that wonderfully well. That was literally his first big press conference of the season. And I think it's so important that everything feels very connected at Chelsea, and it feels like at the moment, at least, I know we are only early stages of Lampard and this season, everything's working in the same direction. And even if there are those articles or hyperbole, which there always is going to be around a player like Pulisic in his game time, I think all around the club are doing, and Lampard is doing a great job in settling those issues down. And Pulisic came on and got an assist. What do you make of that situation? And in relation to Willian, do you see maybe Pulisic taking over that role later in the year?
I think what's Frank Lampard's come out and said in most of his interviews is players are being picked by merit, not by name or so say. And that's the same thing with Willian. He's being picked on merit. If you look at so far this season, he is better than Pulisic, so he should be in that team. I would fully expect Pulisic to come in, because when he has come in, I said that assist for Batshuayi against Southampton was fantastic. That was a great ball. So he shows glimmers of what he can do. But the thing is as well, if you bring in Pulisic, that front three is what, 18 or 19? What's HUDSON-ODOI? He's 18, 19?
HUDSON-ODOI is 18, Tammy's 21, Pulisic 21.
Yeah, and then,
sorry, Tammy's 22.
You know what I mean? That's very, very young. And I'm not saying they can't do a job, but having Willian over there, like I said, with that bit of experience, it definitely helps. And Willian, he's underrated going back. I think a lot of Chelsea fans, for forever, even when I've done YouTube before, they don't seem to get what he does going backwards sometimes, and how vital it is to the team. His work rate going backwards is very underrated, and people keep saying you can't use that as a reason for him to stay in the team, but the fact of the matter is, yes, you can, because it is important. And that's one thing that Willian does do. Even if he's lacking going forward, he's always working his ass off going back, and I think that's the one thing that he has over some of these other players.
Yeah, I think Southampton was really just an epitome of all his best work, sort of analysing it with the article and sort of looking at that game and all the positions he took up on the pitch. Even though he started on the right of a 4-2-3-1, you'd see him drifting centrally, pressing quite high, even pressing sometimes higher than Tammy. And we see that with a lot of players. That's Jorginho. We see that with, of course, Mount. there seems to be that urgency, and I agree with you. Going back, he made some key interceptions in that game, and it is that part of the game that I think you can never really question about Willian. You always know he's going to put that side of the game in, and I think that's really impressive. And what's interesting as well is that Sunday marked, I think it's 6 years since his debut goal. Not his first goal for Chelsea against Norwich, which was literally, and Lampard was playing that day, and I found that quite interesting. And he scored some big goals for us over the years. Sort of moving on from Willian, I want to talk about, of course, the international break now, which usually is quite a dull time for fans. But I guess for Chelsea fans at the moment, there is a real sense of excitement and intrigue in what's going on in England, because Tammy Abraham, Fikayo Tomori and Mason Mount have all been called up alongside Ross Barkley. What's your feeling on the call-ups, and are you excited about the games?
Yeah, I am. I mean, even the under-21 game, I'm going to watch that one, and actually I won't be working actually, but I'm going to be keeping an eye on it to see, because obviously you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi playing there, and then obviously going into the England games, based on merit, I'd play Tammy over Kane. And that's not being biased. I think he's a joint top scorer in the Premier League at the moment with Sergio Aguero, and I'd give him a game. It is exciting to see these players getting the recognition that they deserve, because they have been that good at the moment. Tomori has been a revelation for me. I think it's all well and good. Things, my boy plays football, and the one bloke there, he's a Derby fan, and he was telling me all last season how good Tomori was, how good Mason Mount was, and then but I thought, is he going to be able to do it? Is he going to be able to step up? And Tomori, he's been everything that I was told about him. And he does deserve the call up. And it's going to be interesting to see how he plays there. And with the way that England plays, where they play the ball out from the back, he's got a fantastic pass range. So I think he might be a perfect fit in there. But yeah, Tammy Abraham. If England would not have picked him and he would have went to Nigeria, because that was the talk, wasn't it? That he would either go to Nigeria or be with England. If we would have let him go to Nigeria, I think it would have been one of the biggest mistakes we've made in a long, long time. Probably up there with another one, Wilfred Zaha, because obviously he could have played for England, but he ended up playing for the Ivory Coast. And, look how he's turned out. He'd be good for England. And I'm happy Tammy's in there, and I think he will do a job for England, and it'd be very interesting. Mason Mount, he's already been called up once before, but you might see him start. And Barkley keeps getting in there. I don't know. About being on merit, 'cause I think he's had a poor season, but fair play. But yeah, I'm interested to see definitely Tammy, Mason, and Tomori.
If we jump forward, I know it's because, especially for Fikayo and Tammy, this is their first proper call-ups. Jump forward to the Euros next summer. It's a tough question without them barely playing any minutes. But out of those Chelsea youngsters, who do you think would be most likely to feature in a starting 11 for Southgate in the Euros?
The one that's in the under-21s. I think Callum Hudson-Odoi got a chance to be in there. The kid's special. I'm happy that we've got him tied down for the next 5 years. But if he hits the form that he's shown that he can maybe get to, I think he could get in that starting lineup. Tammy Abraham is going to be hard because with Harry Kane, he's just got the reputation, and that's the thing with Kane, is he got that reputation. He's done it for many, many seasons. But if Tammy hits 20 goals for the next 2 seasons, he could get there. Tomori, I think, got a chance to that defence end. You got Maguire, Keane. I think Tomori could, if he keeps staying solid, could get in there. I think in the midfield, mate, it would be quite hard, I think, for mate. Just because you've got the likes of, say, where would he play? That's the thing at this moment in time. With you got your Hendersons, you got all these sort of players that, again, with reputations. And I don't think they're going to play him on the left wing like we do at Chelsea. So it will be interesting, but anything's possible. But I think the best chances are Callum Hudson-Odoi and Tomori, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And also think about it sort of long term. Reece James, if he breaks into the Chelsea side under Lampard at right back.
Yeah, Reece James, there's a chance of that.
And Loftus-Cheek when he comes back. And hopefully he can get back into fitness and get back into the form. So I just think
things it's his injuries, isn't it, with Loftus-Cheek? If he's fit, I'm sure you'd be in on around it. He'd be definitely close to that starting lineup, but it's just his fitness, isn't it? He does seem to have that problems with his back. That cup coming up last season. Now you've got the one he's injured with now. So it all depends because he's sensational. He is. I think he walks into any Premier League team when he's fully fit. In my opinion, that's not being biased. I think it just so that bit of play that he done against City in the Carabao Cup when he won it, controlled it, paced it, and played the Eden through when they should have left it to play because it was offside, but it probably wasn't. That bit of play there just summed him up, and it was special. He's special. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is a special player, and I rate him so highly. It's like a Yaya Toure, but with a bit more class, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Ruben for me is one of my favourite Chelsea players, and I really do hope when he comes back from this long injury, he's able to get that form back. And I think as well, he has had a lot of injuries, but he's come back from those injuries and he's improved over those times. So I think that's something's got to be said for that. The fact that he's kept coming back from those and kept progressing through that. You think if he has a few seasons where he doesn't get an injury, how far he could go at Chelsea and England. So that's going to be really interesting to see. Before we wrap up, I just want to get your thoughts, as I do with a lot of the guests that I brought on, about Chelsea's season. Just going forward now after the international break, we've still got quite a decent run of games. We've got really exciting ties against Ajax and Manchester United in the Cup coming up as well. And then just more generally about the season, where do you think we'll finish? Can we win a bit of silverware? Just your thoughts about Chelsea.
Well, as I keep saying, it's definitely exciting. If we keep the form we're going on now, I think we would get top four, even if it's just finishing fourth. Ideally for me this season, top four, I think, is a fantastic achievement. If we could pick up a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup, would be great, and a nice run in the Champions League. I don't expect us to win the Champions League, but we get a nice run, quarter of semis. You never know. That would be, I think, sensational. But top four is definitely, we need to keep that, especially going into next summer with the money that we're surely going to have to spend. We're going to have some decent money because you've still got the Hazard money, the Morata money. So hopefully we can reinvest that. So yeah, top four, a lengthy run in the Champions League, and hopefully a bit of silverware. Either one or the other, FA Cup or Carabao Cup, I wouldn't mind. But as long as we got top four, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think top four would be an amazing finish for Lampard, considering what he's up against. And I think there is, it's always easy to look in the here and now, and we are only in the first week of October, so it's
very early.
And also, you're looking at the form of Spurs and Manchester United, and you're sort of thinking, if those two teams continue to falter the way they're going, that will give Chelsea a chance. But it could also give the likes of Leicester and West Ham, who started the season pretty well, them chances as well. So I think it's all going to be intriguing, and definitely, as you've stated, if we could get top four and get a trophy, match last season in that, I think it would be an incredible opening year for Frank and his young players. So thank you, mate, so much for coming on and discussing Chelsea. Before we wrap up, just want to give you the chance to shout out where people can find you, your YouTube, and also talk a little bit about the return of the Talk Football podcast.
Yeah, so you can obviously find me on my channel, Joe Neal Zecca. My Twitter is JoeNealZecca91, and I have a Facebook group which is Joe Zecca Chelsea YouTube. And then obviously, yeah, like you said, the Talk Football podcast that come back Saturday, and after a bit of a false start, it was a really good show. I'm also uploading a audio only version, so you don't have to watch the video; you can just listen to it on the go. That is on SoundCloud. I'll give Dan the link to that, so maybe you can post that. And yeah, that should be back again this Saturday. We'll talk about this week's Premier League games. We'll also talk about the upcoming international break, and yeah, it's exciting times. Hopefully, a lot more content from myself and the other boys, and hopefully we keep this platform moving forward. And it's great to see how much it's grown, and especially yourself, Dan. I think I'm really impressed with the way your channel's turned out. The production value is top notch, so you should be proud of that. And yeah, thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words, and definitely, I think it's an exciting time to be a Chelsea fan online at the moment, especially with all the creators now, compared to when you started and compared to when I started, there was barely any Chelsea voices online, and it just continues to grow and grow, and I think that's a really exciting thing. But thank you, Joe, for coming on. Great discussion as ever. Just to shout out my article for the Chelsea Echo, which is out today, link in the description box below, and as Joe stated, all of his social links will be down there as well, so go and check them out and support. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.